Hello again, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Oilfield Gamers Gaming Review. At least I find it exciting. You might not, but I do. Anyways, I'm your host, Cole, the Oilfield Gamer. And on today's episode, we're going to be looking at Asteroids for the Atari 7800. Classic. So, let's dive right into this. We're not even going to wait. I'm not the type to wait around. Oh, by the way, I do have it complete in the box. I try to get everything complete in the box, doesn't mean I will. That's another story, so let's get into this. Asteroids for the 7800 was developed by Atari Corporation, not Atari Inc., who were the ones to develop the arcade version. That's right. If you've guessed by now, which I would hope so, this is a port of the arcade version, with one difference. Well, besides better graphics, there is no shield in the 7800 version. Instead, this version has basically a teleport option, which we'll get into that later. This game is a two-player game, but again, I am just going to focus on the single-player portion of the game. I get it. I know what you're thinking. This guy must have no friends. Well, you might be right, but I will get into that a little later in the episode. It has 4 different difficulty levels: novice, intermediate, advanced, and expert. I play on the hardest difficulty with the original 7800 controller, which, by the way, using that controller is really difficult. I've played this version before and had no problems with a regular controller, but with this controller, I'd struggle a little bit more. And just so you're aware, there isn't really a story to the game, just level after endless level of shooting asteroids and, well, flying saucers. The graphics are far superior to the arcade version and 2600 versions of this game. The arcade was very simple, what they called vector graphics. And that's just where they use lines to make the shapes. The 2600 added color, but to me, far worse graphics than the arcade version even. Now keep in mind, this version, the 7800 version, was according to GameFAQs released in 1986. So they had time to update the graphics just a little bit. I mean, the asteroids look like asteroids and the aliens look like flying saucers. Your ship, well, it's just a triangle. The sound effects are, sounds like something a child would come up with. It's not horrible, but anyways. Your ship's gun and the aliens make noise. There are explosions. Sound effects. The music is basically just a beeping slash deep beep, I guess is how I could describe it. Tell you what, take a listen to this. Now on to probably the most important segment, and it's probably going to be the shortest segment that I discuss in this review. And that is, well, the gameplay. The heart of the game. Well, it can't get any simpler. You fly around and shoot rocks, asteroids, and aliens in their flying saucers, while trying to avoid being shot or smashed by rocks / asteroids. Yeah. As noted before, older versions have a shield. This one doesn't. It has like a teleporter warp to avoid danger, and it puts you in a different part of the screen. But sometimes you explode when you exit the warp or teleport or whatever it is. And I still haven't figured that one out. Basically, the warp sucks. It's useless. Best avoid using it too much. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. Me, I would avoid it altogether if you can. You might have to have it every once in a while, and it might screw you. Honestly, just avoiding it and flying around and what you need to do gives you a much better chance to really rack up that score. Now, with everything being said, I really can't find any real issues with the game. It's pretty solid game. As far as problems, the only complaint, it may be a problem, it may not be, is the little warp, or whatever you want to call it. Many reviewers I've seen on YouTube or elsewhere say it puts you in the path of an asteroid. But that's not always what I'm seeing here. A lot of times it looks like there's nothing there. Just solid blackness. No asteroid in sight. Just dark, vast, open space. What the hell is up with that? So, I'm going to start this little section by saying I like shooters. Nay, I love shooters. Most of them anyways. Whether it be side-scrolling, vertical scrolling, third person, first person, you get the point. I like most shooters that are out there. And this is a competent little shooter. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a massive classic game. It's one of the first shooters that came out, which already is going to be hard for me to give a review. I mean, it won't be hard, but there are going to be people out there, some old school timers, that are like, no, it's a really great game, blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to have the new gamers, younger than me, children. They're going to go, oh, the game sucks, because the graphics or the sound effects are horrible. I actually have a cousin who might not like this game, but that's irrelevant to this. Anyways, so what are my actual final thoughts on this game? It's a pretty decent game. I mean, yes, I did say earlier that I do love shooters. And I get that might make me biased a little bit. I don't think my bias is showing here. I really don't. It's a decent game. I mean, it's not great. It lacks replayability, especially on the single-player version, because all you're doing is shooting asteroids or shooting flying saucers to see what your highest score can be. It lacks a story, and most modern gamers love a story. There is a little bit of a story here that's inside the manual, but I mean, well, what are you going to do with that? I mean, all you can do is read it and go from there. But it's better than the last game I played. You remember that game, right? Yeah, the one that I didn't give it a rating either in that video, which, whoops, my bad. But I mean, it would have been a 2 at best. So, really bad game. Really bad game. This game, however, is a solid 6. It's not good. It's not great. It's decent. And I think you could have fun with it for a little while. So, I mean, have at it, you know? Play the game. Have fun. And, like always, I'll end my video this way, like I did the last one. Be the best version of yourself, no matter what's going on around you. I don't know if you remember, but I said I would explain my single-player fixation earlier. I am trying to give back to people what I believe helped save me in a time of crisis. A few years back, this hand, you notice the middle finger there, the index finger, and it got these two fingers, got crushed. There was a good chance I'd never use them again. So, I almost lost everything. It's a really hard time. I cannot stand when somebody makes fun of me for having my hand crushed. It's difficult, to say the least. I almost lost everything. I almost gave up. Like, really gave up. It put me in debt. Still in debt. But that's not because I was almost actually out of that. But then, COVID kind of screwed that up. Anyways, as I said, I almost gave up. But single-player video games gave me something to do, something to focus on. Even though that hand had been crushed, I could still use it a little bit. As I was coming out of it, at first I couldn't. I was stuck just sitting there watching TV. And in pain, that's miserable. I pray nobody ever has to go through that. But, despite the fact I almost giving up, giving into my depression, I still had a great support system. I still had family, friends who all were there for me. Didn't matter. Thankfully, it was, for whatever reason, video games kept me going. I had something to look forward to. In fact, when I couldn't play the games, I started buying a lot of games. And, well, when I started playing before my hand was really meant to, it helped it. It helped me to be able to do most everything I can. I can't climb very well anymore, but that's another story as well. It helped me get out of my depression too. I know a lot of people have always said, video games, they don't help. I disagree. I firmly disagree with that now. I used to not. Again, another story. And I want people to have a chance at that same redemption, so to speak. And it's not really redemption, but you know what I'm saying. To have something that can help them. And not everyone's story is going to be the same. I'm not going to pretend to understand what anybody's going through. Video games help me. Some people might need more than what a video game is going to help give them, and that's okay. Totally understand that. But a lot of the reason, I also want to explain why I say what I say at the end of my final thoughts section. Because no matter what's going on, even in your hard times, if you try to be the best version of yourself, don't stoop to other people's level. If they're belittling you, if they're cussing you out for whatever reason, be the bigger person. Be the best version of yourself. A lot of times that gets me out of places that I shouldn't have been in because of I get mad and run my mouth, and then I stop and think, oh, wait a minute. I should have kept my mouth shut. Because here I am about to either ruin my job, ruin a friendship, ruin a relationship, whatever. And I think, okay, this is the time for me to stop, reevaluate what I'm saying right in this moment, and be the better person. That doesn't mean the other person isn't a good person. That doesn't mean that they are a wonderful person. It just means in that instance, they're having a crisis, you're having a crisis, and it could just be something stupid, innate, whatever. And just step up, But you can do that even in a time of crisis. And trust me, I know how hard that is, but you can always be a better version of yourself. And if you help others to do the same thing, it's going to help you. So, I'm not looking for anything back from it. I just want people to have a chance. Everyone deserves a chance, no matter who you are, what you believe in, where you live. The entire human race deserves a chance. Thank you, and have a blessed day.